Recently, I hear people talking again about YouTube thumbnails and titles and how important that all is. And it is true. If you want to get views, you need to figure out your thumbnails and your titles because that's the gatekeeper and the bottleneck to more views. So let's start here and look at some real world examples of thumbnails and titles today. We're in Greenville, South Carolina today and looking at their real estate agents and what they do on YouTube. And so as number 3, I chose a thumbnail by Jamie Church. It says, "People hate Greenville, South Carolina." It looks a little bit like it is from a thumbnail template. But the thing that I like about it is he chose his liking out of his video. See, he's wearing the same shirt and hat and whatnot that he's wearing in the video. So that already looks familiar. Then we also have the city in the background, and with that drop shadow on the font here, blue skies, waters, and seems to work well, and I like that thumbnail. And what we can see here, he changed the title quite a few times. He also changed the thumbnail from something like this to the actual thumbnail, and then YouTube picked it up and he went from like 500 views up to almost 6K now. So look at it one more time. We have red and yellow as the colors standing out. A nice face pick. All right, moving on to the next one. Number 2 is this one here, and the video is about the suburbs in Greenville. He chose a map, and then we have all these dots on the map that indicate that it's about these places around Greenville. We have a little bit of text, which is best. Just 3 words, which seem to work well in general, so remember that. 3 words is always a good idea. And then his liking, which is not from the video. He's wearing a different shirt, but it seemed to work well. He has that hand up, seems to be asking a question. We can see here the video took off and is still going strong, so this is a good evergreen content. It's not a pretty thumbnail, but it does the job and it has some contrast in there and lets you also kind of position your face wherever you want. So he could have well done it on the other side, depending on what part of the map you want to show. And then we move on to number 1 thumbnail that we're looking at today. And it is one of the bigger channels in Greenville, Will Sawyer. And it is a classic pros and cons thumbnail, which I think that's why it deserves the number 1 today. We have all the elements, the city in the background, colors in the font variation, the design elements from the thumbs up and thumbs down, and then a good big face pick that is just relatable. In this case, since his channel is called Will Sawyer, and that's him, we get his face, we get his name right away. So that's a good combo. And then his video just starts with a talking head, but the thumbnail is more in that classic style. And what we see here, the video did, after an initial bit of problems here, it did pretty well. These kind of classic thumbnails, even with that white outline around the face that just gives it more contrast, still work well in 2025. Next up, I'm going to show you a few other channels and why their thumbnails might not work so well. So stick around for that. That's going to be interesting. And I'm also going to do a little how-to exercise in Canva and show you how to make one of these thumbnails. So stick around for that. Moving on, here we have some other channels in Greenville. Ronaldo, he has really good thumbnails too. They're just not popping as much as they could with that gold color font color. So that's something that in this case, his face pics are very good though and very expressive. In some cases, I think they could be even a little bigger, but I do like those. Then we have here, this channel doesn't have any faces in them for a lot of videos, so you want to build your brand, so you might as well put your face up there all the time. So that would be my critique here. Then we have, this is one of the bigger channels in Greenville, and they just started to use a lot of AI stuff. So we just have that text and then a AI background picture, which let's see how well they do on those. Here they're using that a lot right now. And then we have talking face videos, talking head. So they're using it a lot here, those AI backgrounds. And let's see, when did they stop using their faces? They never did. There are almost 10K subscribers, so this is probably the biggest channel in Greenville or South Carolina. And they're not using their faces. Let's see. Did they ever do the... No, they never did that. They have their video up here though. Well, this is interesting. They're not showing their faces. From what you can tell in the thumbnail, it looks like a faceless channel, but then it's not. So, what's going on there? Mistakes to avoid when doing a thumbnail. He has his thumbnail, here it is, and we have about 5 different fonts. Then there is like a Keller Williams logo here in the sky, almost disappearing. Here's a logo that, yeah, and then his face is in the shade here. Yeah, this could definitely be improved. There's so much little stuff in here that will just not really show if you have this on a smaller device. What is nice and what could work well at times is that they try to start with the thumbnail, so if you click on the video, that's what you get right away. And that's definitely a strategy that you could do. If you have a thumbnail that uses that first frame in your video, and if you click on it, then it starts right away. That is a nice transition. I would not prioritize that above like the overall look of your thumbnail. Then we have Aubrey Louise. This is a big channel too. And I think she did not make it in the top 3 because they're all so different, and although she's getting a good amount of views, the thumbnails, yeah, they overall look like they were like from a beginner channel, which this is clearly not a beginner channel. And so her style, what we can learn from this is that her style might just work really well with her audience, doing these kind of faces here, sunglasses, kind of funny stuff. So something like that peeking through there, and then yeah, I mean this can totally work. There is one other channel that I wanted to look at, and she's pretty new, 74 subscribers, and we're doing AI background. She has her face pic is the same on every video here, which to start with, I mean, that's fine if you don't want to do a thumbnail each time, or you don't have a camera that's good enough. But then it just makes it a little less accessible. And these thumbnails, they all look kind of similar, so it is hard to tell them apart. Let's click on one here. Yeah, they're well done. It's a little grainy here. So here, if you compare this thumbnail to what you actually get in the video, it might not even look like the same person. You kind of want to make sure that your thumbnail creates that excitement for the video, and then you're able to deliver in the video. So just pump up both of them and make them as good as you can. So what's a good recipe for your thumbnail? It should go together with your title well. Should not include the exact same words. We recommend around 3 words, not more, on the thumbnail. I would always include your face in there and make it as big as you can, maybe bigger than you feel comfortable with. Then you want to choose a font and colors that pop a little bit. You already want to give the viewer a sense of what they can expect in the video, so that in the video you can actually deliver on the thumbnail. So ideally, everything is nicely packaged together, the title and the thumbnail, and then that ties into the video. So if somebody clicks on it, then they get what they were expecting. So you don't only get that click, you also get the viewer to stay there and actually produce a view for your channel, which that is the important metric for YouTube. So what does that mean for creating a thumbnail? It is probably a good idea to take a picture or a background and maybe even a title that shows up in the video itself, or at least somehow connects to the video. So when you shoot the video, think about your thumbnail and make sure you have a good pic of yourself, maybe not talking. I'm going to show you just how those elements can work together. Here we are in Canva, and we have a face, a background, and some words, and which in this case, I would think the face can be a bit bigger, so you can really go ahead and make that good. Usually to use the rules of thirds is a good idea. So if you have that upper corner where that's where the eye kind of focuses first if you look at a page or a picture. So if you have your eyes up there here in the corner, which that's about here, you're more likely to catch the viewer's eye. And then you want to blend in your titles over here, which this are the wrong colors. So we would go ahead and change those to something else that will just blend in. If red is your thing, maybe that would work. Maybe would need some kind of background or some kind of standout thing around it. And then we can also play around with where would this go? Is it better to be in the front, or just to give it a little bit of a depth and give it that impression? And then maybe the face needs a little bit of a drop shadow or an outline. Let's see. Maybe we want to keep it simple here and just give her a little glow to separate it from the background there. So what you want to do is you want to check your thumbnail in different sizes, especially make sure that it works at the small size. If people watch it on the mobile or even on the desktop, it's not going to show up much bigger than this. So that's about it for today. Looking at now, with that knowledge, going back to our 3 thumbnails, we had Jamie with Hate Greenville, South Carolina. And then this one, it looks kind of ugly, but it did the job to stand out. It's really bright. And then we have the number 1, just a classic pros and cons thumbnail. Here's another video about thumbnails. and then also talking about hooks and call to actions and whatever else is needed to produce a good real estate lead generation video on YouTube. I'll see you next time around.